Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us for the last 7 days. I'm Brian Spellman.
And I'm Andrew Sparrow.
And this is the show where we have conversations about the news. And here, I think a muted Greg Stewart. Say hi, I'm Greg Stewart.
That's right. I'm Greg Stewart. And yes, we're going to be talking about aerospace, automotive, manufacturing, and high tech.
Coming up, we're finally going to the moon for the first time since we faked it, right? Just kidding. The government is spending more money on delayed missiles. Boeing is in the news again. Drones launch from underwater. Brazil has a unique entrance into the EV market, and we're finally getting the Nintendo Switch 2, maybe.
And ready, set, go.
I love Andrew, like delayed anticipation right there.
Just setting the tension for the show. The mighty Artemis moon rocket is gearing up for its grand mission, and NASA recently hit a major milestone in the preparation process. NASA successfully tested the Space Launch System's RS-25 rocket, not once, but twice. These tests went down on January 17 and 25, and it's all part of a series of 12 tests to get everything primed and ready for the upcoming Artemis 5 mission. We might be witnessing the launch as early as 2029. How cool is that?
So this is the first moon launch that we've had that hasn't been faked or staged.
Oh, don't go there with that. And let's talk about the engines being this cosmic adventure. The main contractor responsible for producing these powerhouse engines is none other than Aerojet Rocketdyne, which is now part of the L3 Harris company. But wait, there's a little bit more. Artemis 2 is already in the pipeline, and it's set to blast off in September of 2025. The interesting part, Artemis 2, along with its cosmic buddies 3 and 4, will be rocking the RS-25 engines from previous launches. However, Artemis 5 is going to be a game changer as it will strut its stuff with brand new versions of the RS-25 engines.
I don't know, Andrew, I feel like your head's in the clouds or in outer space here. To bring it down to earth a little bit, you're talking about launching with reused engines from previous launches, or now launching with Artemis 5 with a brand new engine. So when you look at this and you think about, hey, we have something we're modifying and reusing, or something that we're developing as a new product, what's the number one challenge here?
Seamless collaboration, integration across every step of the product lifecycle. I like to imagine a world where every team, every individual, be that from design through production, works together seamlessly without hiccups. Integrating those solutions will break down the silos. It ensures your design changes are going to flow effortlessly through the product lifecycle, through the whole product data management system. No more errors, no more delays, just a smooth collaborative journey from concept to creation.
No more errors, no more delays, just a smooth. This is science fiction. Like you are doing science fiction today. Is that really possible?
Yeah, absolutely. In the product lifecycle with the right PLM solution. So, I mean, you think about a unified platform where you've got your CAD and your PLM functionalities working together harmoniously, ensuring that your design dreams become a reality. You've got real-time data sharing, interoperability across systems, digital twin. Imagine having the virtual clone of your product right there before you and its manufacturing process tied into it. It's not just cool, it's actually a game changer for design validation, for optimization, and for maintenance. And that's without even getting to the whole MES-MOM integration piece, connecting those dots by integrating MES-MOM with your CAD PLM platform. It's the bridge that ensures a smooth journey from design to production, aka digital, and more importantly, critical thread from idea to the hands of your customer.
All right, I'm going to say maybe that's possible if everything works right and you have a supply chain that's working.
Yep.
Did you guys hear about this week RTX Corporation, formerly known as Raytheon Technologies Corporation? Because they've just hit a snag in delivering the Navy's top air defense missile. This is the one that was meant to counter China's aircraft carrier killer weapons. And it's actually caused this delay has caused a stir because now the House Defense Spending Committee is going to put on hold the Pentagon's request for another $3.2 billion contract.
Yep. I heard about this. So from what I hear, it turns out that only half of the 625 Standard Missile 6 missiles are under a 5-year contract from 2019. They've actually been delivered. Apparently, RTX is facing supply chain challenges, not unusual, something we're dealing with also every day. And the Defense Contract Management Agency is scratching their heads thinking, is it their fault? Is it external factors? And then to add to that drama, there are delays with the engine motors manufactured by Aerojet Rocketdyne, as we say, now owned by L3Harris. But here's the twist. And here's what's interesting. The Pentagon still wants to buy an additional 825 missiles. So clearly they feel it wasn't entirely their fault. They were not necessarily to blame. So with it in mind, Brian, over to you. What do you see as the supply chain issues consistently all over? And what are we and what can organizations do to close these gaps?
Yeah, I think you hit on something important, which is sometimes supply chain errors or problems are within a company's control, and sometimes they're not. But there's ways to try to mitigate that risk and to try to make sure that when you might have errors that you can, or problems or delays or anything happening, that you have a way to prepare and combat those with some good risk management. I think one key thing that we're seeing our customers use for this is having real-time visibility with their, with their MESMOM solution. So being able to look at how are my manufacturing operations going, tracking my resources, knowing my production schedules, looking at what bottlenecks could be coming up based off of any delays in any of this, including supply chain. And this kind of visibility helps to identify potential issues before they happen, to streamline the process as a whole, and to minimize the risk of these delays. So you've got to have a really strong MESMOM solution, as well as a really good way to look at your collaboration and your change management, so that everybody is able to find out what's going on and to work together to help work around problems when they happen. It's where we now have the technology where we can actually see all of this data, look at it in a way that we've never been able to do before in like the past of trying to make stuff. So it's actually an exciting time to try to solve all these potential problems.
Yep. Agreed. I think we're going to hear more of those kind of needs for those solutions consistently through the show. So next up, Southwest Airlines is making some strategic adjustments to its 2024 plans, and it involves Boeing's MAX 7 aircraft this time. As one of Boeing's steadfast customers, Southwest had initially set its sights on taking delivery of 85 MAX aircraft this year. However, due to some hurdles, they've revised that forecast down to now 79. What's causing the turbulence? Well, it seems Boeing is facing some supply chain challenges coupled with the current status of the MAX 7 certification. Southwest is keeping a keen eye on Boeing's production capability, and they've decided to exclude the MAX 7 from their fleet plans this year, aligning their capacity plans accordingly. Now, this is where it gets interesting. With the US FAA putting the brakes on Boeing's MAX production increase, several airlines may also be feeling the impact. A potential freeze on higher production could lead to a shortage of jets, potentially giving the airlines more pricing power for tickets. Ouch. This isn't the first airline to tweak its plans recently. Just earlier this week, United made a similar move, announcing they will be building a fleet plan without the larger MAX 10 this time, whose certification is also facing delays.
Are you sure that this doesn't have any impact or any relation to doors flying off the MAX 9?
I think that this is really mostly just the supply chain issue of, can we get this? Because it's not a situation where it seems like, for example, Southwest has said, I don't want any planes from you. They just want the planes and they want them now, and they can't get them. And so I think it is a big just supply chain thing happening, which is definitely unfortunate.
Yeah, I think it's different plants, different lines. I think it's unrelated. It doesn't mean that the FAA aren't being a little more watchful over the
Mhm.
other Maxes, to be fair as well.
Yeah.
It's true.
The Army, guys, the Army has asked AeroVironment to build a compact switchblade unmanned anti-personnel smart mortar for infantry. So the officials at the U.S. Army Contracting Command at Redstone Arsenal announced a $65.4 million order to AeroVironment in December, saying they wanted to have these switchblades built. It is really actually kind of cool because this is a attack drone system that functions as a small smart motor round that can be launched from a backpack. It's going to transmit live color infrared back to the display on the ground control unit. And then the operator gets to confirm the target using this live video in real time. It can be launched from 6.2 miles away, operate for up to 10 minutes, flies at speeds of 55 to 85 knots. So it's kind of like a drone that you're out there flying that just ends up blowing up. The I think fascinating thing to consider here is we have a product whose life cycle is literally has an end in mind, which is to end another product's life cycle. But when you're designing something like this, what's the number one challenge?
Regulatory compliance and certification right out the gate. As a military drone, it needs to adhere to stringent standards from design and testing to deployment, ongoing maintenance. You've got to ensure your compliance with regulations and certifications to ensure the Switchblade's reliability, its performance, and the overall success in the field. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's number one.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the considerations are you kind of chuckled in thinking about this, but the scope, you've got military, you've got government, you've got aerospace regulations all coming into play here. That's a
Yep.
lot to handle. You've got to have a good, requirements management system to even figure that out. This work is going to be done in Simi Valley, California, and is supposed to be finished by April 24th. So this is actually a quick, thing being created here. Is this the only thing that we're in the news this week talking about stuff being launched?
Oh, no, no, no. Now we're going from there to down below, beneath the surface. So the US Navy is diving, forgive the pun, into the future with the testing of submarine launched drones, a game changer in undersea surface air targeting. So the Naval Undersea Warfare Center has unveiled the submarine launched unmanned aerial system. Thank goodness there is an acronym for it called SLUAS, which is a remarkable 4-pound, 19-inch drone sensor launched from beneath the sea in a canister. So, small but mighty unmanned system is designed to navigate through the water column, emerge at the surface, and take to the skies. Its mission to provide continuous connectivity for submarine commanders, offering a bird's eye view of the threat environment, identifying targets, and maintaining seamless communication with surface ships, drones, and aircraft. So the tactical implications of SLUAS are pretty huge. They're not just testing drones, they're exploring new concepts of operation. So the upcoming assessment off the coast of Cali will soon dive deep into these possibilities. So for years, the Navy, along with the SLUAS maker Elbit America and its subsidiary Spartan, has been hard at work building and refining software to engineer a multi-domain undersea surface air network. So picture a network, if you will, of meshed nodes gathering and transmitting time-sensitive data beneath the ocean surface, a realm where connectivity has historically been a bit of a challenge, as you can imagine. The SLUAS, which is that collaboration between AeroVironment's Blackwing drone and Elbit America. Here's the exciting part. While submarines traditionally need to be near the surface for the persistent connectivity, Elbit America and Spartan are teaming up with the Navy researchers to enable a new gen of real-time undersea air-to-sea data transmission as well. So the future of naval technology is certainly taking flight, or should we say, taking a dive. Brian, let's
Yeah.
take a run. What's the biggest mountain wave to climb? What do you think?
I mean, there's so much technological advances packed into what you just said. I think research and development is the biggest hurdle here because you're looking at, we know how things can move underwater. We know how things can move in the air, but it's usually not the same products that are going back and forth between these. So that, along with the communication that you're talking about, the ability to have the data transmitted, I think is a pretty big challenge. So you've got to have great R&D, great testing, great way to figure out how to integrate all of this together.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a kind of system or process, I think, that could be prone just to errors in the life cycle. What do you think about that? Like,
True, but more importantly, what would you do about it?
you've got to have, as we talked about before, great collaboration. You've got to have a way to really see where every moving part of your process is a way to know what's happening with the others. So a unified platform, great ways for version control, for workflow automation. Simulation is going to be a huge one here. Real-time monitoring for your mess mom, collaborative decision making. I
Change
don't want to
management.
say that
Yeah.
the answer is everything, but I think the answer really here is everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're also going to need to make sure that training materials and processes are updated for pilots or operators, I guess, in both of these cases.
Yeah, leave it to Greg to remember that humans are involved in this whole process too.
We were dealing with cool stuff until you started, Greg. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Well, in other news, it sounds like the frustration over Boeing's manufacturing problems is starting to boil over. I'm interested to kind of see how it all plays out. I know United CEO disclosed earlier this week that he is actually expecting United to lose money in the first quarter of the year because of the groundings, which is a pretty big deal. And then
Wow.
also Alaska CEO is demanding that Boeing is improving quality programs in-house. I think direct quote was, "I'm more than frustrated and disappointed. I'm angry," in an interview that he was on earlier this week. But you guys are a little closer to the space than I've been. What are the major things that Boeing needs to be doing immediately to help resolve some of these issues?
Before I go there, you've got to feel for Boeing. I mean, the bigger you get, the more problems you get. It's a reality. I mean, if Boeing were that big, you probably wouldn't have any problems being hit in the media. When you're that size, you're going to have a lot. So I feel for them, but obviously that's putting aside the lives of the people, because every person counts, and the crew, etc., etc. So Boeing has decided to halt production on the 737 Maxes for a quality focused session, and that's a good step. That's in the right direction. But this is a very complex issue that will require a lot more than just pausing and pivoting. It's clearly something that Boeing needs to address at an every single person level. A culture of quality needs to be embedded firmly with every individual. Essential for the critical thread, as we say.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is a chance to look at how things have been done and rethink them. Like, is everything that's happening, because Boeing's been around for a while, and I know they are trying to be innovative in their processes as well as their products. But I'm wondering if this is something saying, I could be right, I could be wrong, I don't know. But and a place to look at, is the way we've always done stuff still what's making sense here? Because this is a huge impact. I mean, we've got the United flights, Alaskan flights canceled. We've got costs to the airlines, which is making impacts on Boeing as well. We've got companies possibly looking at, do I want to order from Boeing or Airbus now? And I think Boeing's a giant. Boeing's large enough that right now I don't think these issues are really going to have an immediate impact, but it's going to affect the future. And I think the way they handle this bad press and bad, every product can have a mistake and recalls and other stuff happen. But when you're dealing with something like a plane flying, it really scares people. So it's going to be interesting where the future goes here.
Yeah, I think all eyes are on Boeing right now, but let's also look at this. There is a regulatory oversight that has also happened.
Mm.
The FAA is going back and inspecting older Boeing jets now as well. But where was the FAA when all of these issues should have been coming up earlier on in the process, before even the jets were rolled out of the manufacturing plant? The FAA issued a safety alert late Sunday, saying, I quote, "As soon as possible, airlines should visually inspect 4 places where a bolt, nut, and a pin secure the door plug to the plane." That's what they said. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks,
I-
FAA. Good one.
yeah. Thanks for the insights there. No kidding, right?
Yep.
I mean, interestingly enough, United shares have been rising even despite the grounding. So investors are obviously seeing a way through this and are pretty confident that that they're going to roll through this or fly through it. Unfortunately for Boeing, right? Boeing's going to have to do some pretty heavy lifting on this. I feel like regaining trust is going to require more than just apologies and statements saying that you know, accidents happen. Yeah, they are large, but I mean, as the Alaska CEO mentioned earlier this week, it is time to start demanding those tangible improvements in the manufacturing process. And I think clarity into those improvements is going to be helpful to everyone, Boeing included.
I think this is a case where, like we've already talked about with several other companies today, we're having, those you taking use of modern technology with the actual real-time tracking of everything in your process, and the data flow is going to be super important. We've had clients with similar challenges try to figure out how to make their quality control better with strategic collaboration with advanced technologies, and looking at this, I'll say, holistic approach to everything from your design to your delivery to what's happening in the customer's hands. So yeah, this is could actually be just a great area for overall good image changing and good process changing, depending on how everything's handled here.
True. Yeah. I mean, every day we're dealing with kind of APQP processes. We're dealing with DFX, rolling it into manufacturing, just making sure quality starts from design and carries right the way through to manufacturing. So yeah, dealing with it every day, it's essential, especially when you're kind of going in the air and you're putting lives on the line, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you're talking about digital transformation overall. And
Yep.
speaking of transformation and transitions,
Always some exciting news in the world of manufacturing partnerships. Allison Transmission has teamed up with Sony to supply transmissions for their lineup of mining vehicles. So currently, manufacturing precision and quality assurance are crucial in such collaborations. I mean, Andrew, any thoughts on what Allison Transmission needs to get right in their operations process?
You hit the nail on the head. Precision and quality assurance are key in the manufacturing of heavy duty mining vehicles. Allison Transmission needs to ensure that each unit meets the highest standards. Real time monitoring is crucial, and that's where your MES-MOM solutions come into play. So with these systems, MES-MOM, Allison can track their entire production process, ensure precision and quality at every step.
yeah, I think you've nailed it here, Andrew, where the ability to implement quality control to automate workflows is going to be essential for any sort of complex manufacturing process like we're looking at here. And it's just a place where, as you started to mention, MES-MOM solutions can specifically help these two companies in this partnership.
Yep. The real time monitoring, the quality control checks, workflow automation, all of which are essential for ensuring this efficiency and quality of transmission manufacturing. These systems also provide traceability. They allow Allison to track each unit's journey from assembly to test. It's not only ensuring compliance with standard, but it also provides valuable insights for continuous improvement as well, which can be fed back into the whole design process an engineering process once again.
Yeah. I mean, and let's not forget the global market perspective, right? John Cole, the SVP of Marketing, Sales, and Service at Allison, mentioned that their strategic alignment with Sony to capture that market share, especially in Africa, Asia, and South America. I don't know, Andrew, you think any MES-MOM solutions are playing a role in supporting the global strategy? And how is that? Because I know it's often pretty specific.
It depends on the MES-MOM solution, honestly. I mean, if you buy a little cheap one, it's very isolated to a plank. Whereas if you buy an enterprise MES MOM solution that contributes to global success by providing standardized processes. It ensures consistency across different manufacturing locations. It also offers collaborative decision-making tools, enables that real-time data visibility for stakeholders across the globe, across every plant, wherever it may be. And that helps address issues promptly, maintains operational efficiency, and supports Allison's global market expansion and other customers for that matter.
Yeah, man, fascinating to see the adaptability of the MES MOM solutions. I'm still learning quite a bit of it, but I think that's pretty neat. it'll be pretty pivotal, ensuring their success.
Yep.
Speaking of solutions, guys, we usually every week we talk about something new happening with electric vehicles, with the batteries, infrastructure, everything. One thing we haven't really had at any time since we started this show is news about the Apple Car. So, we've got our Apple iPhone, our Apple Watches. We've all been waiting for this Apple Car, which just keeps getting delayed. Back in late 2022, the launch date was pushed back to 2026. And at the same time, they announced they're going to cut the level 5 of the self-driving automated driving. Now, the new report just came out from Bloomberg that makes us think that the car's launch is now delayed another 2 years to 2028. And now they're scaling the self-driving back even more to level 2. So, just as a reminder, level 5 means the car can drive itself anywhere in all conditions. And level 2, the car offers some steering and support, but it still has the driver, really in charge.
Which most of us have got, I think, in our own vehicles right now. Yeah.
Right. So they're pushing back this creation to delaying. And it sounds like they're going to just release something that everybody kind of already has. So I don't know, is this, will there be some new innovation here? Or maybe Apple's just going to fall back on the old tricks that we know and I fall victim to, which it doesn't have to be the best, just has to be somehow the coolest.
This is bring back Steve Jobs. Would he allow compromising from a level 5 down to a level 2?
You make a level 10.
Yeah, true. I don't know if he dropped down to what everybody else has got today. Anyway, the other thing, I don't know if cool just cuts it at the vehicle. It would need to be radically cool in the automotive sector, which is already furiously competitive. It's not like the cell phone. It's not as if he's bringing out something new like an iPad or whatever. Whilst Apple is no stranger to innovation, diving into the automotive industry is going to be a big leap for them. But it's about being the coolest, going beyond the brand to coolness. I think they're going to have to step up significantly to be successful here. And maybe that's the delays. Maybe they're still trying to figure out how to differentiate. But it does have a knack for marketing tricks that make its product stand out. So the delay and the downgrade essentially might be a strategic move to ensure a more successful and competitive entry into the EV market. Only time will tell if this sleek little Apple rolling off the production line is successful.
I'm going to go ahead and call it now. The Cybertruck doesn't look like a truck, right? It's this whole new thing. Maybe the Apple Car isn't going to look like a car. It might just look like an Apple on wheels.
Oh,
I sit back and I think one thing that Apple's really good at is that seamless integration, right? And so just having that integration to your car on everything that you have. I know there's I think there's a handful of different technologies already, but I think there's going to be some more seamlessness that as you step into your car, your audio automatically switches from your AirPods to the car. I'm not sure. We'll see. It'll be exciting. So,
did you say car or le car?
I said car, but speaking of Le Car, Flavio Assis, a Brazilian billionaire, is making history with the first Brazilian-made electric car. Assis hopes to change the world's opinion of Brazil, and his inspiration is none other than billionaire Elon Musk. Assis is the founder of Le Card, which was a food card administrator, reached, I think, a total sales of $1 billion back in 2022, but he sold that company in 2022, created Le Car, Brazil's first electric car manufacturer. So
I just want to make sure I heard that right. So there was a company called Le Card, and then
the food card administrator.
Drop off the D and just make Le Car.
LeCar. That's
Okay.
right. Yep. Yep. I mean, they currently employ 30 different engineers. Sounds like a pretty heavy experience background from Ford, Toyota, Nissan. But it's interesting, and they're coming out with a couple different models, right? The LeCar 459, which is their first vehicle, is going to have batteries sourced from Winston Battery, which also is supplying Volkswagen and Hyundai. And then it sounds like their retail price for that, the LeCar 459 is going to be 55,000 with a range of 249 miles per charge, which still is not up to that 300 that a lot of people like, but I would say pretty strong. But then they're also planning to launch an urban version of that, especially for, people in cities, the LeCar Pop, which is going to be an estimated price of, I think, around 20,000 and then 155 miles per charge.
Pop. LeCar Pop.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Seriously? I mean,
Yeah.
get yourself a marketing team to come up with a better name. More like LeCar Pop.
Hey,
Yeah.
they're still working on it. They're still working on it. It's good.
Clearly.
It's good. It does sound that they're hoping to produce 300 cars per month, with revenues of 200 million in 2025. But 5 years from now, they want to be producing 50,000 vehicles annually with 15 billion in revenue. Some pretty high hopes. I do think one of the things that they're going to have to pay special attention to, though, is charging infrastructure. Obviously, Brazil is not up to a lot of the world, but they're still ahead of a lot of the world as well. But the company plans to install some fast charging stations on the 10 largest highways in Brazil, which will be good. I think it's one of those, hey, let's create an infrastructure where any electric vehicle can travel across the entire country. I don't know. I'm excited. He also plans to create a battery cell factory. I know he came out at one point and said, we've got 97% of the materials that make up battery cells in our country, so let's develop them ourselves, which having that control is going to be good.
I like the sound of this because this guy's got a real opportunity. Let's be honest. Number one, it's a homegrown Brazilian EV. That is going to resonate with Latin America. It's going to feel like one of their own. So that's a market opportunity. It's not just Brazil, but it's the whole of LATAM, I think, potentially. Yeah. It's driven by an entrepreneur, a guy who knows how to make money. So that's a good checkbox rather than a scientist or a theorist or an academic, etc. So this is good. Third box it's kind of checking for me is that he's a tech guy moving into EV. Not dissimilar to kind of how Tesla has approached things. Start with tech, software first, wrap the vehicle around second, and that's proved really successful for them. He's then gone out and got an experienced engineering team, but what about the manufacturing team? Hello, most EVs struggle to get into manufacturing, so I think that's a relevant point. But anyway, he's also got on the back of that ambitious production targets. I like that, but is it a dream? Is it a statement? Or is it a plan and therefore a reality? And then the last couple of points for me, he's hit the charging infrastructure. That's a big one for LATAM because I think, as you said, it's pretty non-existent right now. And then lastly, battery cell factory. That's big because if there's one area of improvement, it's the optimization of batteries these days and getting them up to that reliable, longer range that everybody, doesn't matter when we say, well, we only do 25 miles a day in the US, everybody still wants that longer range because they want to sometimes just kick off and do the road trip. So, good opportunity for him. Could be a smart guy.
Yeah, I think you're talking about the dream to change the way that Brazil is known for cars and the dream to make this EV company, this infrastructure. And it's one thing to have a dream that's backed by, as you mentioned, experienced engineers, but you hinted at the idea of you've got to execute this on the manufacturing scale. So one thing I'm curious here is about what strategies, what partnerships does LeCar have to address those challenges and to foster a culture that's going to look at this technological innovation, this manufacturing excellence. It'll be interesting to see that play out. And I don't know if we have those answers yet, but I'm sure they're coming. One thing that I'm thinking, though, is if I get one of these, instead of LeCar 459, I want to rename mine to LeCar 54 so that someone can call me and say, hey, LeCar 54, where are you?
It's great.
Andrew is just going to rage quit the show right now. Have you guys been brushing up on your Spanish since last week?
Okay, sounds like Joseph time.
Yeah, he's that's exactly what it is. It is now Joseph time. So we're going to be I can't get that worked out. Field reporter Joseph, there we go, is
Okay.
hopping on with some fantastic technological updates for us.
Lo de hoy definitivamente va a ser hacer dispositivos que sean compatibles con realidad aumentada, con inteligencia artificial y, ¿por qué no? Algo también con realidad virtual. Entonces, ahora la nueva estrella para esta semana va a ser Snapchat, haciendo alianzas estratégicas con otros fabricantes para lanzar este nuevo producto. Se llaman Spectacles y que son, bueno, pues son prácticamente unos lentes que vas a poder utilizar para hacer diversos tipos de cosas. Ahora, no solamente estamos hablando ya de dispositivos como los relojes inteligentes, puede ser el tema de Neuralink. La semana pasada platicamos también de Rabbit AI. Entonces, ya son diferentes dispositivos y aquí lo más interesante es cómo las compañías de software que inicialmente eran hacer páginas para crear contenido, para simplemente poner un estatus, una actualización de diferentes tipos de cosas, ahora se están encargando de hacer dispositivos que sean compatibles con las nuevas funcionalidades que pueden ellos ofrecer en todo su paquete, ¿no? O gama de funcionamiento. Entonces, está súper interesante, pues todo el tipo de cosas que se pueden hacer, así como lo están viendo en los videos, tal cual. Y la verdad es que a mí sí me interesa bastante. Es decir, bueno, ¿qué vas a estar utilizando el día de mañana? Veo, por lo que yo entiendo, el teléfono va a quedar un poquito lejos. ¿Por qué? Porque decía Elon en algún punto, tenemos mucha fricción con los dispositivos electrónicos que tenemos actualmente. Entonces, Neuralink llegaba a solucionar este tipo de cosas, de fricción, situación que tenemos. Bien, pues vamos a ver cómo funcionan los nuevos dispositivos, más intuitivos, con más inteligencia. Y bueno, esperando que no son más inteligentes que nosotros. Eso es todo. Venga, vuelvo con ustedes. Gracias.
I am fascinated by how the use of entertainment seems to drive innovation. I mean, Joseph just mentioned Snapchat, and which we all think is, just a silly communication thing with fun filters. But now more augmented reality is popping into this in ways I think you're seeing uses with these lenses that we're going to be in a reality soon where what's real and what's holograph and what's augmented, where we're walking around and just seeing these glasses, which they start, I think, for kind of fun. What Pokemon Go was an augmented reality thing, and it was big, and it hasn't really come into uses. We've seen some of it in manufacturing. We like look at your car before it exists, when you put the glasses on and see car showrooms and engineering, and we're seeing all this AR coming into more technology. I think it's going to change things a lot more than we really realize right now.
I'm actually really, I'm hats off to Snap. They started out as a platform for these kind of quick videos that disappeared. It went crazy. And then, of course, Instagram jumps on the back of it, copies it, and obviously with its footprint, it kind of took it over. And people thought Snap had gone down. Of course, it's still got a massive loyal following to it. And it's great to see them now evolve that brand and morph that brand into essentially what's going to be a technology manufacturing organization. So great to have them in this kind of industrial sector. Love to learn more about what they're doing and see if we can help them. So good for you, Snap.
Yeah, it's funny as I'm looking at the technology, and Brian, I think your comment on entertainment driving that technology is huge. I would not be surprised that if in a few years there's a partnership between Snap and Top Golf that comes out, right? Because right now you can go to Top Golf and you've got different targets, and you can play Angry Birds even on the screen. But if you could throw the glasses on and actually swing a golf club and launch a projectile into an augmented reality of building blocks, it would be interesting. So I could definitely see a partnership coming down the line.
Yeah, I would. That would be amazing to hit your golf ball and then see an angry bird flying out and knocking
Exactly.
down some stuff. Oh,
Yeah.
that's fun. Now we're diving into an area of gaming, which are you guys gamers?
Oh, 100%.
No, no.
I think I could have guessed those answers. Uh, so one of you might know, when did Nintendo last release a console?
Hmm. I I think it was
They have a console?
2021. I
No,
think it
they
was
don't.
2021, back when they released the OLED Switch, right?
Right. But wasn't that basically just, wasn't new. It was just the same thing as a Switch, just like a couple
It
new
was an
changes.
update.
Yeah. So the last real thing from Nintendo hasn't come since March 2017, which is a long time ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think, we've been waiting for a Switch 2, which Nintendo hasn't said anything about. But just last week, or 2 weeks ago, just recently at the CES 2024, Alltech Lansing had a press release that said they were announcing a new line of gaming accessories called AI Shark. And in that press release, they said that they were going to launch this to coincide with the Nintendo Switch 2 in September of 2024. Oops, they weren't supposed to say that. They've since backtracked and said that actually it's going to be released in fall of 2024, and then backtracked even more and said Nintendo hasn't confirmed any release dates. So, other than rumors, that's actually all we know. Like, no, there's no releases from Nintendo on what's happening here. There's no idea of what technology is going to be in this. What's the next innovation that's going to get people to want to buy it? But I think what came to mind for me is when I think of product lifecycle management, I'm usually thinking of aerospace, automotive. I'm not thinking of gaming, which is kind of a mistake because games are a huge market and a huge area where having great products and product lifecycle has huge payoff. So I want to ask our non-gamer here, Andrew, how could a company that makes games like Nintendo make use of PLM related stuff?
Clearly, the collaborative piece would be at the top of the agenda, and to get the marketing people heavily involved in that collaboration so they don't release the wrong press release. That would be the first thing. But seriously, streamline collaboration among their teams. Hardware engineers, software developers, designers working on the next big thing. A centralized platform is going to ensure everybody's on the same page. That would be number one.
Yeah. And what do you think about in this collaboration process? What about managing updates, managing releases? What do they need to look at? Like, what are they looking at there?
Yeah. Version control, change management. When Nintendo rolls out new software updates or designs a new console, PLM will ensure a systematic approach to testing, validation, implementation, and reducing the risk of errors.
Mm. It's funny when I think of Alltech Lansing, I've got multiple speakers of theirs, so
Yeah.
I'm a little interested. I'm going to have to dig into what gaming accessories and technology they're coming out with. But just talking about the Switch was absolutely revolutionary in its design for game consoles, right? Because it bridged this handheld entertainment with the large screen entertainment in such a seamless way. We've got two of them in our household, and so I'm excited to see what they come up with next. I don't know how different it's going to be. If it's called the Switch 2, I'm not sure. There's a lot of improvements that they can make over the original and even the updated Switch from a hardware standpoint, but Nintendo has done such a good job at filling those unique gaps in the gaming industry. I mean, you've got Sony's PlayStation and then Microsoft's Xbox PC that really compete heavily in the graphics heavy, hardware intensive competitive gameplay that Nintendo has kind of stepped back and said, we're going to compete in that crowd too. They even had a game of the year last year, but we're also going to capture the less intense gamers, ones that like sitting on their couch playing together or enjoy a quick game of Mario Kart, or beating their 4-year-old in Mario Kart, which I like to do, while they're waiting for their plane to take off. So it's interesting. I'm excited to see what's going to happen next.
So you don't have the let them win philosophy. You're just like, you're going to earn this win if this happens.
No, yeah, isn't that how it's supposed to be? I mean, they've got to learn
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah, don't let them win. My dad used to compete with me at chess for freaking years. He never allowed me to win once. I used to hate him for it, but it makes you a little more less eight-pace trophy type mentality, which is, you win for coming last. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
good.
next time you're in the office, Andrew and Brian, instead of Mario Kart, I'll bring chess, and we'll make
Okay.
that set up.
You are a gamer, Andrew. I think if there's one takeaway from this show, this has kept coming up over and over again, was the need for collaboration. Like whether you're collaborating, at game night with your friends or in collaborating to build a rocket going to the moon, collaboration is, I'm going to use the pun, I think, a game changer.
The name of the game.
And with that, everybody, thanks for joining us this week, and we'll see you next week.
Next week.